Hey,
Good
hey!
morning.
What is
Good
up?
morning, everyone, and welcome to the Dark Roast. I'm Donna Stroll, and I'm here with the beautiful and talented, amazing Rose Short.
Hey, hey!
And today, we were going to talk about marketing through educational content, or
Yes.
edutainment, as it's so called.
Yes. Education with a comedy element.
Or at least some form of entertainment, anyways. I don't know. We prefer to laugh. So, because
Yes.
people don't want boring lectures or endless fluff either, right? They want something that's going to make them feel like they're learning, but not, it's either your boring lecture, Bueller, right?
Yeah, if
Or,
your physics teacher was teaching physics by breakdancing, I think that would be a lot more entertaining and probably help a lot more people get it.
yeah. So, edutainment has become a very big thing. You're trying to keep your teaching fun, keeping people engaged. So, and that goes whether your content's short or long, right? It really doesn't matter, especially if you're going to be providing information about your products or your services or helping people, providing value content that's going to draw them in to purchase your stuff. You want to try and keep it at least a little bit more interesting for people, right?
Yes, for sure. We all know that is how we get rewarded with the algorithm, is people staying engaged and staying on the platform.
Yeah. So, and like edutainment is growing, right? So, I mean, right now, what do they say? The market is projected to grow from right now it's $2.58 billion in like this year, and it's supposed to go up to like what, $11.5 billion by 2034 in the edutainment industry.
It's
So
crazy.
that's massive, right? Like that's absolutely massive.
It's almost $1 billion a year.
Yeah. So
Crazy.
and so
So,
yeah.
yeah. So, what is it, right? What the heck is edutainment? So, the basic definition, it's a blend of education and entertainment to make learning engaging, right? We all know that person who could listen to the lecture and like just get it, but you've got your hands-on learners, you got your learners who need, allegorical examples of it. You've got a bunch of different ways to learn. And so edutainment can make it more engaging, which means maybe the people that have a hard time learning without hands-on can at least get the concepts a little bit easier. It works because it combines value with emotion, which again is not something that I am really good at. But if you can get that emotional connection to what you're saying, it usually helps it click faster. Again, it keeps the audience hooked, so it keeps your numbers up, and it builds trust because you're giving value without asking for anything. Typically, you're giving value and entertainment, and so they don't feel like you're wasting their time or you're talking down to them or anything like that when you're presenting it in this manner.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
actually is a great example of this. It's from College Humor. Their whole theme is nerds correcting people when they get stuff wrong. But it's done as like a game show, right? So you learn something about, the things you know and love as a nerd, but it's also funny and educate and entertaining.
yeah, I think I told you before, another one is The Fat Electrician, where he teaches a lot of history stuff, but he's absolutely hilarious to listen to. And so I know way more about old war veteran stories than I have ever known before because it's entertaining. And so I can actually listen to a whole podcast on this guy talking about something from, some some soldier or some war event that I could have cared less about before I listened to it, and now I'm actually interested in it. So
Yeah, Simon Whistler's another good one. Just like the way he presents is really cool, and like I like his voice a lot. And so listening to him, like some of his stuff is really entertaining, some of it not so much. But just the way it's presented is very clear, very concise, very to the point, and like it doesn't make you feel like you're a complete idiot for not knowing this stuff.
yeah, and I mean, we all do it, like where we want to share information and we forget that what we're sharing, not everybody is in our same headspace.
Yeah.
So, like, if you're a coach, say you're a hypnotist, a hypnotherapist or a coach, and you start talking all these high level concepts and ideas, that's just gonna, other coaches might get it, but if you're trying to reach somebody who's not, not a coach, but you're trying to show them the value or give them some education, and you keep using all these terms, you're going to lose people because you're not speaking to them with that, right? And even when you think you're breaking it down a little bit and trying to speak to the average person, I saw a funny little meme today with somebody was like, it was like two stick figures and they were talking about programming, and it's like, well, remember, we're going to be talking to people who don't really know programs, so we should really keep it down to Perl and SQL, and oh yeah, and don't forget that. And it's like, even when you think you're talking down to the layperson, you're probably not, so take it down again.
Yep.
I mean, simple things that you got to do, right, is know your audience, right? These are your core pillars of entertainment marketing. You got to know your audience, obviously identify the pain points, the same as with any kind of marketing, and their learning preferences, right? So, is your key group visual learners? Are they auditory? Those kinds of things. Maybe you mix it up and provide a little bit of extra. Do they need some workbooks? Something that they can follow along with, all those kinds of things. So, you're just going to do some research. Also, what do they find funny, right? Because what I find funny isn't necessarily what other people find funny, because I have a really dark and sarcastic sense of humor. So, obviously, my people are hopefully going to be people who have a slightly dark and sarcastic bit of humor.
That's why we get along so well.
Exactly, right? And obviously add your personality, right? Because your
Yes.
personality, this is who you're drawing in. So that's what you want to do, is add your personality and make it real, because you can't maintain a personality that isn't actually yours. Um, you can do it for a while, but you will eventually burn out or you'll slip, and then that's going to break that trust level with people.
Yep.
And as always, value, right? Is what you're providing valuable to the people that you're trying to talk to?
Yeah. Love it. So, how do we do this, right? How do we create this complex, entertaining, and educational bit of content? Well, break down the complex topics, right? Analogies, real world examples, visual aids, stuff like that. For the love of God, don't make a PowerPoint and then read the PowerPoint. That drives me insane. That is not the purpose of a PowerPoint. But, sorry, separate tangent. Um, but when I used to teach safety at Amazon, I would always teach do as I say, not as I do, because I had an example of like almost everything that you're not supposed to do. I had an example of when I broke the rule and got injured or got close to being injured in some way. So the more real world application you can put behind it, the more relatable it's going to be. Make it engaging, of course. Add visuals, add memes, add fun editing effects, flip the video. Don't go overboard. Don't make it so it's like, the crazy 90s commercials where everything's like jumping around and spinning and then coming at you and you're just like, what the hell am I watching? But keep it, every couple seconds, you want to keep some kind of movement to keep them engaged and keep it, entertaining. Not color therapy, but color, what am I looking for?
I understand what you're talking about. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
using the color wheels and to really bring people in, because
Yes.
different colors have different meanings,
Yes.
right? There's a
Yeah.
reason that big equipment generally uses orange,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So, yes.
Um, using a relatable tone, right? So, like, obviously, my tone's a little off right now because I've got a little bit of a congestion going on. Yesterday morning, I sounded very much like a Skeksis, so I was just walking around the house going "Gelfling" and confusing my dogs. But I wouldn't tend to do any kind of content in that form. I would do more silent content, obviously, but don't go super like cheerleader from Daria where everything ends in an inflection. Don't be super clear eyes guy where everything's monotone. Just have a conversation, right? Like everybody who's scared of being on camera, I can tell them all the time, like just pretend you're talking to somebody. Like that's all it is. Like you don't
Yeah.
have to be crazy over the top, right? And then, of course, experiment with trends. Don't focus all of your content on what's trending. But, if there's some sound that's trending that you really like or a particular template of like video formatting that you think is cool, absolutely go ahead and try it and then just plug in your relevant information.
Yeah. And we don't slam on trends, and you're going to find your people, right? You might have to make some adjustments. If when you're talking, if you are somebody who is very monotone, right? Maybe that is the way that you talk. You might have to actually do some work to raise that inflection. If you're going to be on video, if you're doing your education or your edutainment through written word, then you're going to have to play with your fonts a bit so that you can show inflection in areas that maybe there wouldn't be. So know your strengths, know your weaknesses, and you might have to create, some more strengths. You might have to do some self-teaching yourself, to get that. And that's simply by just looking at other people and seeing what you think you can actually do. Like I'm never going to be Mr. Beast.
Yeah.
Right? That's just not me. I'm not the sham wow guy. These are not my things. Now they're both entertaining,
Mm-hmm.
right? But that doesn't mean that it's an area that I'm going to go into. It's the same as I'm not going to be super cheerful bunny gal, because again, that's not me. I can make fun of
Yeah.
it, but it's not me. So,
I will say I did have a professor in high school that was very monotoned and we all loved him. He was great. But he also brought like he knew he was monotoned and so like his personality would come out in other ways other than his voice. So
yeah, and I mean, maybe you do have a monotone voice, but you're very colorful in the way that you dress or
yeah.
your surroundings. Like your tone is not just your voice. Your
Yeah.
tone is everything that you're presenting out there in the world, right? Like,
And if your information's good but they absolutely hate your voice, just put closed captionings on everything so they can mute it. Like there are presenters that Smid listens to that I cannot freaking stand. Like their voice just grates on my very fiber of my brain and it drives me insane. But they do have good information. And so like, you know, I can mute it and get the information. I have to pay more attention, obviously. And so
which
there
isn't
are ways to
necessarily a bad
circumvent
thing.
it. Yeah, exactly. So there are ways to circumvent it. There are going to be people who absolutely love your voice. There are going to be people who absolutely hate your voice, and there's nothing you can do about it. So
Yeah.
just lean into your strengths. Yes, AI is coming a long way. You could do AI voicing on a lot of videos, but I would start with just you and go from there.
And you made a good point about having captions. Make captions available always, because for some of us, we watch most of our videos on silent. I am one of those people who watches mostly everything on silent.
Same.
The noise, right? I just can't. And so make it available for everybody. And then that way, because yeah, maybe they are going to watch your your edutainment session where they're watching it in private, somewhere where they can't necessarily have it loud.
Or
So,
shouldn't have it loud.
or shouldn't have it loud. Give them the option to be able to view and do that, quietly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then
So,
repurpose it, right? Get the transcript and purpose it into a blog in case some people just want to read it instead of watching, the
exactly.
video.
Yeah, and then you can also take that and convert it into lots of other things. But that's our, how to make more out of less.
Exactly. Hey, it's important right now with the TikTok ban, so you guys had better diversified. Otherwise, it's about
Yeah,
to hit
it's
hard.
coming. Yeah. And I mean, even if it's only a temporary ban,
It's still going to
um,
hurt some people.
yeah. And so it's important to, I mean, that diversification of your platforms is important. We always tell you that though. So, how to convert your edutainment into marketing success, right? Because that's something that you're going to want to do. That you don't just want to provide the value; you want it to actually bring value back to you as well, right? So, your CTAs, right? Your calls to action. You want to make sure that you have that. You want it to be organic, not have a topic on one thing and then have a call to action on something else. You know, put in your, do you want to learn more? Or here's access to the handbook towards that. That allows you to then build out an even stronger, or sign up for my newsletter for more education, or subscribe to our channel for more information. All those kinds of things are different calls to action that will pull people in. So that's important, right? Good
Yes.
morning, Kristen. Thank you for joining us.
Ah, Kristen, I love her. She's awesome.
So yeah, and so like lead magnets again is another one. You provide the lead magnets. You can even do that within, like, if you're going to do like maybe a short webinar edutainment, you can provide a book, a handbook or a workbook that they can go through that has some additional information. Or again, you can get people to sign up for something like a newsletter or checklists or anything like that that will be useful for them. And then consistency. I mean, but we talk about consistency all the time. We're consistent with this.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm consistent with. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not great for everything else, but I am consistent with this because I think it's important. I think we provide valuable information for people, especially people who are just starting out, and we provide a wide range of topics, which I think is very useful for people. So this is important to
I
me.
agree. And consistency, I think that's one that people don't understand, because you can be consistently wrong. What I mean by that is, if your videos are not, getting out there, if you're not getting engagement and you're consistently doing the exact same format, consistency is probably not going to help you, or it's going to take a really long time. So you have to post consistently, but also analyze consistently and make those small improvements to get your reach out there. So just because you're posting 12 times a day doesn't mean you're posting the right type of content, the right type of CTAs, the right type of hooks, all that kind of stuff, right? So there is trial and error here. So I'm not saying give up if you've been posting for 3 weeks and you're not getting traction, but it is important to, again, analyze and pivot and make that consistency work for you.
And consistency also doesn't mean that you have to post 3 times a day or 5 times a day or anything like that. Consistency literally can be once a week, depending on what it is that you're doing. Especially if you're doing like blog posts or YouTubes, those kinds of things. Once a week it can be just fine, right?
Yeah.
If you're going on social media, maybe you're doing it 3 times a week. And yeah, that's pretty low. That's pretty low, but if you're consistent with it, at least your algorithms know and they start to understand that. But if you're going to do that, you have to stick to a schedule. If you're going to do low posting, you have to stick to a schedule so that your algorithm understands that on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you post at 3 o'clock, and this is what you do, so that it can actually start doing the thing for you that you need it to do.
Yes. So how do we focus on the long term, right? Build a content bank. This is super, super important. You're creating a backlog basically of your evergreen content, right? So I have a couple different templates that I use. I just sub in different videos, and the text and the vocabulary, not the vocabulary, the text and the wording is all the same because it's the same message. But remember that only 1 in 7 followers usually sees your content, and you're trying to get it in front of new people all the time, and repeating things is necessary to get it stuck in people's brains, right? So don't be afraid to repurpose that exact same information, just put different visuals behind it. Monitor your metrics. We just talked about this, right? Analyze, analyze, analyze. There's so many times that people are like, oh, this one weirdly got 10,000 views. Anyways, it's like, no. Look into it. Why? Like, was it the time of day you posted? Was it, did you use a certain sound? Did you use a certain keyword? Like, why did it do good? And if you know why it did good, then you can repeat that. But so often people are just like, oh, this one almost went viral. Whatever. I'm just going to keep posting what I already planned on. I do it. I know I do it. So don't feel called out.
I'm always confused because mine is usually like baking and shit. And I'm like,
right.
Well, that's got nothing to do with what I'm doing, but okay, I'm glad you like it.
Yep. Repurpose, we've talked about this. Diversify your streams, right? So YouTube, blogging, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of them. Make sure you've got different ways, Instagram carousels, stuff like that. Different ways to get the information out so that you're matching your audience's learning style, right? Like Ice Wellness, we offer it visual, audio, and written, because we never know how people are wanting to do challenges. And then stay adaptable. Be willing to tweak. Trends change, algorithms change. Keywords or hashtags. You can't follow hashtags anymore, I believe, on Instagram, or it's coming where you can't follow hashtags. Social media platforms are always changing things around. I know Facebook's been slapping the hands of a lot of people that thinks it's either using bots or what's the other one?
VAs.
Clickbait.
Oh, clickbait?
Yeah. There's been a lot of people that's like, you shared this probably just to get likes or shares or, whatever. So like, we're not going to, like, we've taken it down. So be aware of all those kind of things so you don't get a slap on the wrist.
Which is, and that's funny because my husband was just ranting the other day about, they should just I should be able to block this. And if enough people say that this is just clickbait nonsense, it just gets taken down. And I was like, well, I guess Facebook is listening to you because, yeah. But see, that's circles right back down to value, right? If you're going to put your energy into posting and if you're going to put your energy into creating the content, make it worth your time. And make it worth everybody else's time, because the further we go along, the less patience we have for nonsense. And I love AI, not gonna lie. I think it's a super useful tool. But just like anything else, when it's abused and not used, people will start to see it and they want to see that more human element. And that doesn't mean that you can't use AI to help you create these things. But what it means is you have to be present in the process and you have to be present in what you're putting out there. Same with using AI in your videos and stuff like that. It's certainly going to help you, but don't let it be the everything, because people won't respond to it. Because the same reason that we don't like animation that's too close to reality, we get that uncanny valley issue. They've figured that out. And so when they do animation, they make it look real, but they always make sure something's just enough off that we, because it's too close, we don't like it. So same with your content, whether it's visual or whether it's written or whether it's auditory. There's a point where we're just like, it sounds real, but it's not. And I know it's not. And it makes me uncomfortable. So, keep you in the process.
Yep.
So that's about it. As far as edutainment, I mean, really just go out there, educate people, make sure that you're speaking to the people in their language, not in yours. Have a little fun with it. If you've got a bold personality, put that out there. If you don't have a bold personality, that's cool too. Just find ways, whether it's through editing or the different ways that you're doing your font structure or, providing information, all that kind of stuff. Just, work with it, right?
Yes. And Donna, of course, is our resident designer, and she has designed some really fun stuff that we have available in the Spreadshop store, which I shared. I think we both shared on Facebook last week, but I will put it in the comments here. This is one of her awesome designs that you can get in a coffee cup, a t-shirt, a sweater, and some other stuff. So go check it out. I will warn you. The shop has all of my stuff, so you're going to be inundated with my dogs and my ice wellness stuff as well. But there is also this, and of course, any sales that we make do help us continue to do this and support us in our endeavors. So if you're
Yep.
feeling generous, check it out. This is my favorite.
So uh, that's funny. But yeah, I mean, we have actually several designs there, and you know, I love doing that kind of stuff. So you know, if there's something that you want, now none of this stuff is branded. So if you buy a dark roast cup, it's gonna just be the dark creepy stuff. You know, it's gonna have a little bit of fun. It's gonna have a bit of a darkness to it, but you're not gonna have like the dark roast written on it.
Correct.
Oh, we can do that though.
We can look into that.
So, I mean, bottom line is you just got to remember, if your content, you know, if it's not interesting enough for you to watch, like if you wouldn't watch what you're putting out there, then why would somebody else? Right? If you can't sit through a long, boring, you know, basically info dump, then don't expect anybody else to be able to do that either. And, you know, change it up. Yeah. So next week we had decided that we are going to talk about micro versus macro niches. You know, how specific should you get with your niche, whether it's affiliate marketing or any type of online marketing, right? Like you can narrow it right down to the tiny, tiny piece, or you can keep it a little bit more broad so that you can expand. And it really depends on you and what you're going to be, you know, what you're planning to do. You do not have to niche down to, you know, the final silver hair, but you can if that is exactly what you want, right?
So. Yep, and it can differ across platforms too, so we'll talk about that.
Yep. So if you found this helpful, please drop a comment, let us know, share this if you think somebody else might find this helpful, and as always, hit that subscribe button. Because that helps us immensely, right? Your feedback is helping us grow the channel. And of course, if you have any questions or anything that we haven't touched on yet, you can drop that in the comments too, and we will happily get to that. All right. So that's it. That's all for this week. Happy
Friday the 13th.
Oh, yeah. See, now I didn't even know that. All right, everyone. Have a fabulous weekend. Bye.